obviously I was able to stream you for tonight, that is Saturday, without too much trouble. I saw that there was some dropped frames, but it's not a big deal. Anyway, I think now that I actually have a proper resolution, it should be okay. The stream should be much smoother, but we'll see. Hopefully tomorrow. Anyways, about the game. What happened in the previous session was that, actually before the session, Russia renewed his non-aggression pact with Germany, renewed non-aggression pact with Austria, but then, as if you remember, Italy ended up being a puppet of Germany, and I couldn't get out of that without becoming a GP. Now, for some reason, German Empire and Russian Empire signed a ridiculous treaty in which Germany is to declare war on France, in which Germany will not fight, and Italy will be forced to fight France. Assuming that Italy wins the war, actually no, Italy is required to win the war. No, that was another treaty, but those two treaties kind of correlate. Anyway, I was required to in order to be released from German sphere and being a German puppet, I was supposed to basically fight France and get one state for Germany from France. And then the treaty lasts for 20 years, but by rules I'm not allowed to transfer any territories that I haven't held for at least 15 years. And I didn't actually pay too much attention to the detail, which meant that I had to win territory from France in the first 5 years of the war. Now, if you remember correctly, my situation in the previous session was that there was no Italian Venice, and clearly there was no Italian Champagne. I also got Aegean Islands and parts of Egypt that give me research points and prestige. Slightly expanded my Egyptian territories, and I also have some deals with Spain, but that'll come up in colonization later on. So what happened was, since I had that treaty with Germany and a defensive pact with them, but they wouldn't just release me for free, and he didn't want to lose the war. He wanted white peace. He doesn't lose more prestige. The big issue was that, just looking at Austria and checking his troops made me think that I'm in a huge advantage, because he was 4 tanks behind me or something like that, ridiculous. And then I also had more troops when mobilization kicked in. Ideally, I would have declared war on Austria immediately, as soon as I got released from puppet status from Germany. But one very unfortunate thing is that you don't get your cores on Austria unless you are a great power or you have 45 prestige. Or actually, you need nationalism imperialism to trigger national fraternity, but national fraternity has a very, very low chance of proccing without those two requirements. So you're either GP or you have 45 prestige. At that point, we didn't have 45 prestige, we only had 25. But then we also had the culture tech, this one, which gave us, I think, 10 or 15 more prestige. And then I had to wait a very, very long time to get that prestige up. Now, probably the better decision was to do a fake war on France and get the prestige, and then just strike on Austria while they were still weak. But unfortunately, what happened was that I just waited for that. I actually didn't think about this. I was aware that France might decide to actually fight that war, and you know, we did a test game where German player played France and I played Italy, and I managed to crush him, but it wasn't pretty war and I lost too many men. I didn't like that. Still, France starts with more brigades in that save and one more military tech, even though they don't have the optimal techs. Italy should still win, but it's not easy. It's very hard war. And if France plays properly, I think they can defend and even win. And then, in that case, I would be completely screwed, because I would be breaking treaty, I would have lost the war against France, and I would have no opportunity to win a war against Austria to get my corps back. And it was very important to get Venice back, because it has a lot of Italian population, and it's another port. Again, important for colonization. Finally, I got national fraternity and I got my corps on Austria, but it took so much time that Austria was able to completely catch up in tech, rebuild all of their troops, and have basically full army here. Now, unfortunately for them, I don't know if they didn't see the war coming, or, well, basically we tried to fake it, like the cover border with France, and I moved all of my troops from Austrian border to French border to make them think, well, I'm gonna fight France, and then everyone was actually expecting Italian-French war. So when I declared war on Austria, he was left completely surprised, and I managed to surround most of his troops, and he just had to surrender. Now, unfortunately, Romania was also on my side in that war, but Austria surrendered so quickly we didn't get to add too many war goals. And the ending result was Austria lost Transylvania and parts of Moldova to Romania, and I only got to Venice, which is, I think, now that I think about it, a very bad deal, because I should have taken Tyrol, which was 7%, same amount as Moldova. I mean, the part of Moldova. But the point was to try to make Romania strong, so we can have a reliable ally against Austria if we are to fight any hard wars against them. Now, that didn't work quite as planned, because Russia still wants to kill Romania for, I don't know, silly reasons. I mean, Romania has only one corps in Russia here. It's a decent territory, but it's not amazing. I mean, Moldova was taken later on of Romania, so they don't count that one. But honestly, if I was playing Russia, if you give up like what 200k population or 300k population for an alliance that will help you destroy Austria, and Romania actually has very good potential in this mod, I don't see why wouldn't you take that. I mean, that deal, but it's, I don't know, it's Russian decision. Now, that was one of the decisions that I didn't agree with Russia. Another thing was supporting Ottomans in getting Darfur. Darfur is actually very strategically important for me, because I want to raise for Hasland. Now, expecting that some people will hopefully try to contest UK for Niger Delta and this region, I might just have enough time to colonize East Houseland. The main reason I want this is because of coal. Obviously, Niger Delta is amazing because it has coal and it has tropical wood, which then gets converted into rubber, which is again amazing, but really what we need is coal, because I only have coal right now in Annecy. That was very strategically important for me. Now we're building a lot of naval bases to compete in colonization, and I also have a deal with Spain where he will just give me Gala for the session so I can colonize, which is a very good deal, since Spain is not going to colonize, and then we'll probably end up signing an alliance or something. I gave him some money As you can see, I have no money right now. I should be okay. Now, as for other parts of the world, there is a triple pact between Gran Colombia, Brazil, Argentina, and that pact was backed by UK. So now Canada, Mexico, Gran Colombia, Brazil, Argentina are all basically allied, and as you can see, USA is kind of screwed, even though Japan tried to help them, but simply Mexico and UK had too many troops in Central America for USA to beat them. I still don't think it's the end of the road for USA. Still think they can make a comeback. Actually, if we compare their population, 5.5 million compared to Mexican 3.2, so USA should be able to make a comeback if UK leaves them alone, and I think at that point this is a very balanced war between Mexico and USA. Even if Canada joins on Mexican side, I still think it's 50-50 on who wins that war. Now in Europe, situation got even more complicated, because then at that point when I finished my war with Austria, clearly that wasn't too painful for me because he surrendered very quickly. Then I started talking to France and kind of came to an agreement where it's much better if he just cedes the territory to me so I can give it to Germany, and then we fight Germany later on. Now unfortunately, because I missed timing, now I'm forced into breaking the treaty with Germany, which means that in some, I think 6 or 7 years, I have to pay £5 million to Germany. I lose 200 prestige or whatever prestige I have right now, and that's my phone. Okay, back. So where was I? Yeah, screw the Russians. Okay, right. So the French situation. I have to pay those huge penalties. Hopefully some other major powers will try to help me cover the money thing. Unfortunately, I'll get also 15 or 10 infamy, not sure. But I have few years to burn that infamy down. I think I should be able to get it to 10 or maybe less if needed. I can probably release something, but given that I'm most likely going to be protected by Russia and UK, I don't see the reason to be too afraid of going over the infamy. It's really not a big deal, and I don't think it would be for too long. Now I still have active treaty with Germany for a few more years. I think France also has treaty with Germany, I'm not sure. And Russia has treaties with Germany and Austria for a few more years. But I didn't see any of them renewing treaties, so I don't really know what to expect in the next session. Also, there was very little that UK was telling me after this session. I didn't get to talk to them. I talked to Spain a bit, but mostly about colonization. I talked to Japan in the previous session about some help around Southeast Asia, but I think that's gone. I wanted this part of Scandinavian land that they have right now, because that later on that's a good oil source, and I wanted to secure that. But during the session I figured it would stretch my position way too much and didn't really feel comfortable with going there, because there are too many players competing over that area. I mean, Persia, I didn't even know that they got this. I think Romania traded that for them or whatever. I don't know how they got it. Oh no, Romania has that. Ow. Anyway, so we have Scandinavia, Australia, Japan and UK competing in that area. Now I don't know if this was already partitioned between Japan and the UK. If that's the case, then Scandinavia might have some big issues with UK. Probably not Japan. Maybe Japan, we'll see. Then I know that Spain was target of Japan, but never got attacked because Spain had too strong allies and Japan couldn't take them on them at that point. So again, there could be very interesting situation in Southeast Asia, all of these players wanting some more land and some land that doesn't belong to them right now. Then in Africa, this is Portuguese territories. Portugal, I don't think will be able to colonize, and in that case I think I'm gonna try to make a treaty with UK where we protect Portugal, maybe in exchange for, you know, a few territorial concessions, since I think if we don't protect them they will probably die next session. There's a lot of people want their colonies, want their land, especially Spain wants their mainland, and I think it wouldn't be too unreasonable if he provides few colonies to us, and then, you know, we in exchange we just protect him and make sure that he remains alive. I think that's a fair deal, but hey, we'll see. Did I actually? Yeah, I didn't activate my mic. Okay, so that's working. It would be really bad if I had to remake the entire video. Now, Austria-Hungary has colonies over here, and I'm really interested to see what he plans to do with them. I don't believe he will be able to colonize much. He shouldn't have too many colonial points. Germany also has few colonies over here and over there. But what do they expect to gain from those colonies? Even if they manage to colonize stuff around that area, I don't see them holding those provinces. I really don't. I mean, any naval power can just declare war for colonies, blockade them, and then they would have to surrender because of the war exhaustion. I mean, clearly you're not gonna win by getting war score from occupying colonies, but war exhaustion is a very serious issue for Austria or Germany. They cannot afford it. Meanwhile, Persia, I think they grew a bit. 3.3 million, not bad. Russia grew a lot. Still haven't taken Manchuria. I don't know what they need for that, but I think they should be getting it soon. Russia is at 24 million pop right now. Ottomans, despite looking like they're doing decent job, they're actually not, in my opinion. 9 million population, that's okay, that's decent population, mostly because they were able to snipe that Lower Egypt, which I was pissed because they got it for free. I was planning on giving that to Romania to boost their manpower a bit, but then Ottomans were just quicker to take it, which was quite annoying. And there was another issue between two of us where Russia kind of intervened on Ottoman side and pushed me back, which I wasn't once again very happy about it. And then in the first session, when I was really pissed at France taking Piedmont and I wanted to punish France, also boost my country by taking some land from France, Russia stopped that also. I mean, clearly that's not my plan anymore, because there is no point in fighting France now, but I was really pissed at that point, and still, you know, I don't enjoy being blocked at every move on every possible expansion. Also, Russia was kind of against my war against Austria, and he didn't agree with it. He protested a lot when I gave territories to Romania, so that's another annoying point. A lot of things that I didn't like, but then just overall diplomacy really going terribly for me. First, I managed, like, the biggest diplomatic victory was managing to keep Portugal alive and keep them in the game by talking to Spain and persuading them to leave them alone, even though I really don't know. Spain didn't get Morocco, somehow Austria ended up getting that. But yeah, I mean, Portugal still alive, still quite viable country. See what Spain decides to do with them. I don't think they can attack them, but maybe make some deals and take their colonies. Spain doesn't plan on colonizing, so just, you know, buying colonies from people might be a good idea. France seems to be in a terrible position right now, as they've lost more territories. They gave up Champagne to me in exchange for the treaty with Germany, where they don't get attacked again. But I think this session we will actually see a huge war between most likely Russia and France on one side, and then Germany and Austria-Hungary on the other side, and then I'll probably join Russian and French side for my course, or just to beat Austria-Hungary, because he was kind of a dick to me, you know. My offer was just Lombardia and then Venice. In the first session he just refused, like, right away. And okay, I can understand that you don't want to give two of the very big provinces, I mean states, but then, I mean, his plan, he is counting on France destroying Italy and then pretty much carving Italy to half with France, which I understand. Okay, so that move actually makes sense. But then France gets completely destroyed in Italy, gets pushed out of it. I clearly state my intentions to just colonize in this game and not pay too much attention to Europe, especially backing that with not pushing further into France. Also, it was clear that I had far more allies than people expected me to have. Like, Spain was supporting me, UK was supporting me, Russia was even supporting me. So I really don't see how unreasonable my offer to Austria was at that point, because I already got Lombardia for free, basically because Canada added a war goal on Austria in one of the very stupid Austrian wars against UK, which happened in the first session. Austria was allied to USA, USA got attacked by Mexico, UK and Canada. Austria joined, which kind of pissed off the UK because that lowered war score on their side, and then they also wanted to help me, so decided to release Lombardia. Now, unfortunately, there are also some issues about that. Lombardia should have gone to UK, not to Canada, to block Germany from spearing it, and blah blah blah. In any way, it wasn't an amazing deal for me, but at that point Austria basically only had Venice, South Tyrol, Istria and Dalmatia as my course. Then again I go to him and offer him, look, I want Venice, and I think I should also take South Tyrol, because then we both have more or less decent borders with each other. We don't have to fight at that point. And he once again, like, refuses. That was at the beginning of the session. Then throughout the session I still try to talk to him and to talk some reason into him, like, in some sense. And I think I was finally managing to get the deal to him, and then he goes to Gurren and just asks, hey Gurren, should I sign this treaty with Italy? And then once again, like, you know the drill. Gurren says no, Austria refuses. And then also one thing I might have forgotten to mention, between sessions I offered Austria a non-aggression pact. Okay, so this was before I got Venice. I only had Lombardia at that point, and I really wanted to completely focus on colonization. And at that point I would actually probably have to fight France to get Germany his treaty. I wouldn't be breaking any treaties though, I wouldn't suffer any penalties, but I would be in a far better position for colonization, and I might have gone to war with Ottomans if they decided to stubbornly keep Darfur, which I think is a really crappy province for them, and I don't think they can colonize much from it. I don't see the reason for them to hold that when it's basically just blocking me from colonizing. Anyway, you can see the result. So Austria refuses that once again, and Germany kind of screws him over because Germany signs a non-aggression pact with me, which means I could at that point feel free to fight 1v1 war against Austria, which ends up happening, and then he just loses, and he didn't get anything in exchange. I don't see how this deal between Austria and Germany is beneficial for Austria, because the only thing that he got out of that deal is losing land. He lost Lombardia, he lost Venice. And right now I'm considering pushing for even Istria, because if he's continuously remaining stubborn and doesn't want to give me my reasonably claimed land. I mean, I'm really not asking for much. It's South Tyrol and then non-aggression pact, but his counter argument is that I will attack him later on. Well, whatever. I mean, I wouldn't, but hey. Right now, I think Germany is still leading, but Russia and German Empire are quite equal, I think. Russia's still not catching up in literacy that quickly, but if we go here, they're at 38%, which is actually quite decent, and I think by the end of the next session they might get to 60% if it's a good session, if we go like 20 years. We should put them at 60% around 1890. It's quite good for Russia, but then they will miss a lot of tax. They should be behind in tax. Well, that's a slight compensation for Germany and other continental powers. And then hopefully, if balance of power in Europe is slightly better and France is restored, we could potentially look into some very interesting wars, colonial wars, between Japan, perhaps Scandinavia, Spain, maybe Australia on one side, and then also wars in North and South America, which is not one-sided anymore. Perhaps some Europeans intervening into those wars. Germany was threatening containment on Mexico because Mexico went over infamy, but then UK convinced them to not do that. I don't really remember what the exact deal was, but I think Mexico had to release something, or I don't know. Yeah, they released Hawaii. Okay, so they did have to do something, and then that happened. Once again, my prediction for the upcoming session is that we will see at least 2, maybe even 3 major European wars next session. Depending on how those wars go, and depending on UK or British involvement into these wars, we might see USA being backed by perhaps Germany and Japan once again, and then USA might be able to finally turn that tide in those Mexican-American wars into their favor. Again, then Mexico will have to be looking for allies from Gran Colombia and Brazil, and have them involved into wars against USA, because USA, I think the best play for them is to press for all the cores on Mexico, and then either continue going south into Gran Colombia, or try to contain Canada. Now, Canada still isn't very populated. It's only at 1 million population, so I think they should probably wait before going for Canada, because Canada is still taking a lot of immigration, and they don't want to waste it yet. That's pretty much it. The stream should be very interesting tomorrow. I was planning on doing some update on my videos during December and January, kinda late for that, but I have some plans for some Dota guides, especially now that there is a huge hype when the new patch was released and basically it's a completely new game now. I think that would be very interesting for most of the people. I don't know how many of you are actually playing Dota or interested in Dota, but I believe I have some followers that might be interested in that, so we'll see how that ends up. Anyways, see you tomorrow. Have fun, guys.